And thank you so much for your patience and flexibility today. Of course, as always, there's some technical difficulties, but we worked it out and no big deal. So here we are. I'm very excited to introduce two special guests. One, as many of my listeners know, and my Facebook friends and family, that we got a puppy. We got a Bichon Frise. Santa Claus delivered it to my Princess Arabella. Santa Claus delivered it to Princess Arabella. And when Santa Claus delivered it to Princess Arabella, guess what? We had her for 4 beautiful days. And then, of course, she developed a puppy virus, but she's all good. So please meet Princess Coco Chanel. She's licking me. She's, I think, 14 weeks, 14 weeks tomorrow. She's biting me and licking me. But Princess Coco Chanel. Now say hi, everyone. All right. Look at my glasses. So now for my very, very special guest, and who I'm so excited to have on the show today because you're going to learn some really, go out. You're going to learn some really, really innovative concepts, strategies, techniques, a toolbox of stress relievers, learn how to manage anxiety, learn how to really be in touch with your body and decrease chronic illness. And I can't even say how important this is for all business owners, all entrepreneurs, because guess what? Entrepreneurs and business owners are one of the leaders for getting chronic illness, getting disease. And what's disease? A body not at ease. So, our very special Dr. Cindy Tsai is joining us today. So excited to have her. She is an award winning physician, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, mindfulness teacher, and wellness life coach who is on a mission to redefine self-care. Wow, that's amazing. And if that wasn't enough, wait, there's more, folks. So Dr. Cindy has earned her bachelor's and master's degree from Johns Hopkins University and MD degree from Dartmouth. As a leader, physician, and patient herself, Dr. Tsai saw and really experienced the impact of chronic illness and chronic stress on the body and was really compelled to do more than just prescribe medications as a band aid that treats the symptoms rather than treating the problem. As an author of the best-selling self-help book, and everybody should rush out and get it right now, called So Much Better. Don't we all want to be so much better? There we go. Dr. Cindy is holding that up now. So Much Better is life-changing strategies to develop calm. I need some calm. But I think I handle those technical difficulties pretty calmly. Don't you think, Dr. Cindy?
It happens.
So calm, confidence, and curiosity. Curiosity to become an inspiring success story. Dr. Tsai has been nationally recognized, featured, and published in media focused on wellness and healthy living. She's so excited to share her expertise and passion with all of our listeners in which to guide as many entrepreneurs, business owners as possible in this journey of self discovery to recognize the importance of self care and really alleviating chronic illness. And it's not just for us entrepreneurs and our business owners, it's for people in everyday jobs, it's for women, it's for mothers, it's for, really everybody, right? Right, Dr. Cindy?
Yes, I think that we live in a very stressful world these days. So this is a really important conversation to be having. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's kind of get started there. If you can, walk us through your journey of how you really truly first-handed experienced chronic disease. Of course, you've seen hundreds of patients with chronic disease, maybe thousands, but walk us through your journey of healing and leaving a very successful career as a physician with a very big organization to alternative medicine along with your coaching and mentorship programs because you don't see that very often. You don't see, someone that goes to school and it takes a lot to become a physician, especially a good one.
Journey.
so, so walk us through that journey.
Yeah. So I want you to imagine waking up one day and not being able to see. That's what happened to me.
You know what? Can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
Everyone close your eyes right now if you're listening. Everyone close your eyes and imagine yourself waking up. Your eyes closed and you can't see a thing. Go ahead, Dr. Cindy. I'm closing my eyes.
Yeah. Waking up one morning, you open your eyes and everything is blurry, everything is dark. This is exactly what happened to me at the end of my medical training. And it was terrifying because I had no idea what was going on. I remember as a physician, so I talk about this in my TEDx talk, where I was trying to stay calm, running through different diagnoses in my head, trying to diagnose myself, right? Is this cancer? Is this diabetes? Like, what's going on? And being so confused of like, overnight, what happened?
Right.
And then I went to see an optometrist. They said that my prescription increased threefold overnight. Okay.
I would be petrified.
Yeah. And then I went to see an ophthalmologist who did some labs and, hoping that they had an answer, and everything looked fine. And I remember being in the office and the doctor saying, "This is interesting." And let me
This is
tell
not a word you want to hear when you can't
absolutely not.
see or you experience chronic illness.
No, you don't want to be interesting to a doctor, right? You want to be straightforward. You want to be, textbook. Like it's like all the
Well, you want
classic.
the answers. Like I go to the doctor, I want the answers. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, not
Yeah.
this is interesting.
And so it was totally confusing and unsettling. And I got a new pair of glasses so I could finally see again. But I was really confused with being this medical mystery, right? And a couple days later, a week later, some more symptoms came up, and then we finally did get a diagnosis that I had an autoimmune condition. It was an autoimmune uveitis impacting my eyes that could have led to full blindness.
Oh my gosh.
And it was one of those more rare conditions, like 1 in a million type of cases, right? But I started on the serious medications like steroids, immunosuppressants, so that it wouldn't worsen, right? So that we could control the inflammation. But at the same time, I also wanted to understand what was going on, right? I didn't want to just take the medications as a band-aid.
Well,
And
because you're treating the symptom, not fixing the
exactly.
problem. And that's what so many doctors prescribe is treating the symptoms and not really getting down to what's causing this in the first place.
Yeah, and I think that, of course, especially in acute situations, you want that band-aid, you want that quick fix, right? You want to be stabilized. But I
Right.
think for me, I also recognize that I didn't want to be on medications for the rest of my life if I could help it. And I really took the time to pause, to pay attention to what was going on. Like, why was there so much inflammation, right? What was my body trying to tell me? And so it started me on this journey to exploring integrative medicine, to exploring all these other wellness and healing modalities, and to understand that everyone is different and that the things you need are different, right? But that there are so many great tools, resources, and things that are out there that can help you be well. And so it was a process, but I learned to really advocate for myself and to assemble my own team of practitioners who truly listened, who were focused on treating the root cause and looked at, all aspects of my life, right? Like I was working overnight, super hard, doing all the things, doing all the right things, I would say, right? Like all the shoulds and checking off all the boxes.
All the shoulds and the right things for your career, not necessarily for your body.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
a physician, you got to take care of you before you can take care of your patients.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times as high achievers, and
Mhm.
also I see this in so many business owners, leaders, right? It's like we want to do so many things, right? And then we end up looking external, right? For all of the accolades, the approval, all the things, the accomplishments. And along the way, we lose connection with who we really are.
Mhm.
And that is very stressful on our system because we're
And a
not.
lot of people don't even know who they really are.
Yeah, exactly. We're no longer aligned and connected to who we are, right? But we're just doing all the things. And so I think I see this a lot. And over time, what this ends up being is it results in chronic stress, right?
Mhm.
And inflammation. And we know that from a physiological perspective, inflammation is at the core for so many chronic diseases, right?
Mhm.
It starts with inflammation. And so for me, I'm grateful to have gone through the journey to have been able to really take the time to learn to heal, right? And so on the other end, right, coming out on the other side, really being able to take all these learnings to be able to share this with others, with patients and clients, to know that you don't have to wait until that point of burnout or exhaustion or some significant trauma or disease to finally take care of yourself, right?
Right.
It starts from right now.
Which so many people wait and explain inflammation because inflammation is the root cause of all illnesses, right? And like I said earlier, the disease, what does disease mean? A body not at ease, right? And
Yeah.
so, what is inflammation? What causes inflammation? How can we prevent inflammation?
So I would
I
say
have
that.
inflammation.
So I think the important thing to note is that inflammation is a normal response. It's how the body actually deals with different triggers, traumas, and things like that. It's actually part of the healing
And it
process.
can be and it can also be part of the food you eat. Sugar causes inflammation, right?
Yes.
Processed food causes inflammation.
Yes. So basically, I would say that, something happens, whether it's whatever trigger, something we eat, something we experience, some input comes in to the body, right? An input can be like something we perceive through our senses, something we see, feel, whatever. And it can also be our thoughts, something internal,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah,
then
it's all the negative self-talk, all the childhood baggage,
yeah, yeah,
everything that we think that we moved forward and dumped our baggage is still with us until we really, really dispose of it.
yeah, we're carrying it with us, right? It's like a heavy backpack.
Yeah, and I always say no matter where you go, there you are.
Exactly. And so what it is basically, we get activated, our system, our brain, our body gets activated, and then
Mhm,
it leads to a series of chemical reactions in the body, right, which releases different hormones, chemicals, things like that. And inflammation is part of this process where it gets the signal to attract different cells and basically chemicals to help either calm it down, right, or get rid of it, whatever it is. Like, maybe if you ate something that was bad and there's like a virus, right, inflammation is part of that process to help with the healing, to kind of like, bring in the cells to get rid of the virus or whatever it is.
yeah.
The problem is, a lot of times our triggers nowadays are constant. We're under chronic stress, we're eating a ton of junk food, processed foods, all the things. So there's this ongoing onslaught.
And food is not grown and created today the way it was decades ago. You
It was.
didn't hear inflammation back then or leaky gut or any other things, autoimmune disease. You didn't
Exactly.
hear that terminology in the medical field way back then, right? And
Yeah,
then,
no, it's true. Our food today is so much more processed than it was before, with industrialization and all of these things. And so basically the concern is that because there's ongoing need for inflammation, it also leads to creating these cells and chemicals that are causing damage, right, to the body. And so we never get a chance to kind of calm down and heal.
mhm,
So that's why it's really important to recognize your triggers, right? What's causing your stress? What are you doing in terms of your diet or your lifestyle? All of these things together, and learn how to turn off that stress pathway so that you can really activate the relaxation response and really get into a place of calm and ease instead.
so before we really dive into that, into your toolbox, how was that transition for you going from physician, award-winning physician, not just a physician, but an award-winning physician, into your own private practice now of really mentoring, coaching, speaking, and really helping people from all walks of life, I assume all around the world.
Yeah.
How is that transition? And then you have to tell me, is being a physician in a hospital in real life, is it similar to Grey's Anatomy? I can't help myself to ask that question. You're the first physician I had on the Exit Rich podcast, so I just had to ask.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it was definitely a transition. For me, I actually was always interested and focused on becoming a physician ever since I was young because I was
Which
always
is a tremendous amount of money, energy, effort in those
yeah,
things.
yeah. I was always interested in wellness and being healthy and all the things. So I studied really hard, did all the things, was always focused on being a doctor. So when it came time, when I got sick, when I experienced this, it really helped me see that there were so many other ways I could help people. And it wasn't until the pandemic really hit that I was really focused on, I really want to do more than prescribe medications as a band-aid. That it's so important to start early, to focus on prevention and wellness, right? So that we're really addressing the things upstream as opposed to when there's already chronic disease and illness. It's not to say you can't take care of things at that point too, but it's a little bit, it's more extended, right? There's more things going on and at that point.
Right.
And so for me, I didn't have any background or training in entrepreneurship, business, marketing, sales, like none of that. Because I was always like, studying biology, doing my research, all those other
They
sciencey.
don't teach you preventive in medical school.
Um,
Then they'd be out of money.
I think that there's definitely we have so many great advancements in Western medicine now, right? With dealing with acute disease, with whether it be pharmaceuticals or surgeries and things like that. But I think also a big component is also recognizing there are other tools out there that can keep you healthy and well. And so I think for me in this transition, it was definitely very different, but it's been really exciting and fun because I feel like in the business world, you get to use a different part of your brain.
Yes.
And you get to be creative, you're meeting people, you're really there's a level of freedom that comes that's a little bit different from a very structured path in becoming a physician or any of a lot of the professional degrees.
Yeah, that's why I always teach my clients it's really important to engage left brain, right brain, and change up your habits. Brush your teeth with your left hand if you're right
Yeah,
handed. Throw a ball with your left hand and really focus on becoming ambidextrous because we use such a small percentage of our brain.
we really do.
Okay, so Grey's Anatomy. Yes, no. My husband spent years and years in the hospital, and he said, "No, Michelle, it's not like that." But a little bit, he said.
Yeah, I would say, I'm sure that there are bits and pieces that do reflect what it's like. For me, I went to training programs that were on the smaller side, and so I feel like there maybe wasn't as much going on.
Drama. That
Um,
happens, my husband said.
yeah. So I think that but then there are plenty of really large programs, a lot of people, and it's stressful going through medical training, and I think when you're under stress, that it can either bring out the best or the worst in you.
Yeah,
Right?
1,000%. Yeah.
Mhm.
And again, that question popped in my head. But let's dive back in. So, you know, there's so many entrepreneurs, so many business owners that have chronic illness. Some die way too young. And, there's many times for entrepreneurs, not as much as employees, but sometimes employees, but many times for entrepreneurs, that work life balance is not there. To me, it's so crucial for business owners and entrepreneurs, which is why I had you on the show, to really understand the mind body connection, how to tune in. So, what, and I'm sure you would agree to that. And what are some steps? What are some steps? Because you can't just go from A to Z, in zero time. So, what are some easy basic steps that you recommend the busy entrepreneurs and business owners, which y'all are, to agree to buy in and to take a few minutes to practice these strategies, methodologies on a daily basis? And why do you recommend that? I know you recommend it because of chronic illness and what you've
Mhm.
seen as a
Mhm.
physician.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing to recognize is that the mind and the body are not separate. Okay. It's very much connected. But a lot of times we forget that. And just as an example of the mind body connection, what it is think about if you're if something comes up in your mind, let's say you're about to give this really big speech, right? You're about to go on stage and you don't really like public speaking. And then you're feeling these butterflies in your stomach and you're
Or
feeling
you're
kind of,
feeling like you're going to throw up, pass out, which is what I did
yeah,
when I spoke in front of 1,000 people.
right, right. So this is actually the mind body connection at work, right? Because you're having these thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I got to give a speech in front of like 1,000 people. Am I going to be able to do it? I'm going to mess up. I'm not going to remember what I'm going to say. And then that connects to your body and your internal organs and the systems. And that results in this like very innate, visceral body experience,
And
right?
kind of a flight or fight syndrome, too, right?
Mhm. Yeah. So what it is basically our brain communicates with the various systems using the system called the autonomic nervous system. Okay. And the autonomic nervous system is separate into different sides. There's the sympathetic nervous system and then the parasympathetic nervous system. And most, you mentioned fight or flight, which is essentially another name for the sympathetic system. And then there's also this other side, the parasympathetic, which is about relaxation, creating relaxation in the body. And both systems are connected to all of our organs. Um, and essentially, think of one of them, the sympathetic, as like pressing on the gas pedal to activate these organs, right? Helping the heart beat faster, helping your muscles tense up, things like that to help prepare you in times of stress, to fight or flight, right? And then there's also the parasympathetic system, which is like the brake pedal, right? To calm things down, to slow your heart rate down, slow your breathing, relax your muscles and tension.
Right.
And so we have this in all of us, right? And so a lot of times it's recognizing that when we get certain triggers, that input I mentioned earlier with different senses into our bodies, it all of this is essentially subconscious. It's like it's happens almost instantaneously, right? And so if something stressful comes up, our body, that sympathetic fight or flight system is activated. And so immediately our heart rate races, our muscles tense up, we're in that state of stress. And so that, unfortunately, oftentimes we don't recognize it until, maybe hours later. And then we're like, oh, my neck is sore, right? My, I don't, I like at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of times my shoulders are like up to here, right? Because we're like typing, and, we're not taking care, we're not taking pauses and paying attention to what's going on. And so part of it is really recognizing, having ways to connect to your body throughout your day, right? So that you can check in and actively turn off that stress response and shift into that more relaxed state instead.
Okay, so back to the tips that you give entrepreneurs to start out with, quick, easy tips. Let's just go ahead and dive into that real quick and
Yeah.
demonstrate how we can do that,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere in a car, at our desk, anywhere in a bathroom, anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can share a couple tips. One of the easiest ways is to really engage your breath. So being very mindful about breathing.
I forget to breathe a lot of times. My trainer tells me, Michelle, you have to breathe.
Yeah,
You're gonna pass out during a set.
So a very simple breathing technique is called the cleansing breath. And this is where you take an inhale through your nose and then exhale through an open mouth sigh.
All right, Dr. Tsai, that was good.
Yeah, just take another one at your own
We
pace.
can practice.
Right, like
You can
inhaling.
comment too and ask Dr. Tsai questions if you have questions. Go ahead.
So this is a very simple technique, right? You said a lot of times we go throughout our days without even remembering to breathe. And this takes like 2 seconds.
I feel like when I do it, it does calm me down.
Yeah, it does. And that's why breathing is one of the easiest and most effective techniques to help with stress management. Because when we are taking those deep breaths, what happens is when we're expanding our chest, as I mentioned, there's the sympathetic and parasympathetic system. That parasympathetic relaxation system is regulated by a nerve called the vagus nerve. And it's a nerve that runs through our chest cavity, and it's connected to various organs and things like that. And when we're taking a deep breath, what we're doing is we're actually stimulating that vagus nerve that's in our chest. And so it helps to prompt this relaxation response. So that's why taking a deep breath, when you're inhaling and expanding your chest, that increases the likelihood of activating that nerve to help you feel calm and relaxed.
So what's another step, another quick tip that we can do, all us entrepreneurs can do?
Another simple technique is especially if you're in a place where you can't really, take a bunch of breaths or whatever.
Like on an airplane? Oh, you don't want COVID?
Well, when you're sitting down, to take a moment and to feel all 5 toes. Like feel your feet on the ground.
Okay, I'll down cross my legs.
Yeah. Have both your feet on the ground and feel the ground beneath you. Like actually feel your toes.
Grounding. That's called grounding, right? And when you go outside, walk in the grass, like in The Women with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts.
And what it does is it helps you to bring your focus back into your body and into the ground, right? Into the sensation, into the body. And a lot of times when we're in a stressful, anxious place, we're in our heads, right? There's a lot going on. We're worrying, we're, doubting, like all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's a lot of energy that's kind of trapped up here. And so what we need to do is to help you shift that energy and into your body so that you can feel grounded and supported again. And so techniques like breathing, like the grounding, right? These are practices to help you check in, to kind of like stop, pause, and really pay attention in the moment again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, I always refer to the human body as a computer. Mm-hmm. So when we have a lot open, a lot of apps open on our computer or on our phone, what happens? Your cell phone, your computer, your iPad slows down, shuts down, then shuts down. That's how a human is. If we have too many things open, if we're trying to do too many things at once, or we're completely overwhelmed, that's where burnout comes from. That's when we begin to shut down, and that's where chronic disease comes from. Mm-hmm. So you really got to focus on results instead of just busy work and a to-do list. What's going to generate? What are the 3 to 5 activities I can do today that will gain the most results for my company?
Yeah, and I think it's really important to take a moment, especially first thing in the morning, to set these intentions, right? To set your day on, whatever, to like set the tone for your day. Otherwise, I know a lot of people, it's tempting. First thing you wake up, you grab your phone and you're like scrolling your emails and responding. And at that point, you're already no longer present, right? You're already kind of subject to all the busyness that's going on in the world. And
highly successful people don't start their day by checking their phone.
Yeah.
Highly successful people start by working out, some sort of workout, some sort of activity, reading, mm-hmm. connecting with the family, then starting the phone.
Yeah, 'cause I think you really need to be in a good place yourself first, right? So that you can show up as the best version of yourself in your business, professionally, personally, whatever it is, right? But if you don't even know, if you don't have that strong support and grounding of who you are, it's going to be, you're going to be off balance, right? Off kilter, because it's like something will come up and you're going to be like distracted there and this and that, and you're not going to be able to stay focused and
Yeah,
to,
that's why I think it's important to plan your day the day before instead of the day of.
yeah.
And so you gave us two good tips: grounding and breathing. Any other tip?
Yeah, I like this exercise. It's called the five senses exercise. And it really is a simple mindfulness practice, which helps you be in the present moment without judgment. And this is fun because it engages all of your senses. So I'll lead you through this and we can just together. So I want you to, well, first take a breath, right? Get into the moment. And then I want you to tell me the five things that you see right now.
You, me, like literally see
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna just look at five
me
things.
and you, my excellent rich banner. Um, the comment section where nobody's comment yet, so you're making me mad. People, go comment and ask questions. And what else do I see? Yeah, really, my computer screen.
Yeah. Okay.
If I
And
look
then
down, I see my headset. I see my coffee cup.
okay. And then counting down to four. Tell me four things you feel right now.
Well, I love doing Exit Rich podcast because I love educating business owners and entrepreneurs in every
Physically
aspect
feel.
of their life. Well, I physically feel happy. I
Yeah.
physically feel motivated. I physically feel inspired. Yeah.
And it's also like, feeling the seat beneath you, right?
Yes. Going to sleep. Now, I will tell you before we started, I felt a little bit of stress, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of anxiety because I know you're on a time clock. And,
Yeah.
when you use these different platforms, there's always technical difficulties, it seems, on their end. And so, yeah, but like I said, yeah, I feel the chair beneath me. I do have my toes on the ground. I am grounding as we speak.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
feel Mrs. Coco Chanel's bed next to my feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Your hair, the temperature, whatever, right? Like just getting into the body.
Yeah, I feel
And
the
then, and then three things you hear.
I hear the air conditioning. Everybody can probably hear it because we forgot to turn it off. I hear you
Mhm.
and myself. It's pretty quiet in my office.
Great. And then two things you smell.
Princess Coco Chanel's little pad over there, training pad. And I would say my perfume.
Yeah. And then one thing you taste.
Hmm. I don't really taste any. I guess I still taste the protein bar that I ate an hour ago.
Great. Yeah. So there you have it, right? It's a very simple countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a mindfulness exercise to help you get into the present moment. And it's very helpful because it takes you out of like the busyness in your mind when you're worrying to actually be like, okay, let me pause and look at, tell five things I see, four things I feel,
Yeah.
three things I hear, two things I can smell, and one thing I can taste. And it's a way to really engage your senses in the present moment to get you out of whatever thing that was, spiral that you were going on.
Now, if I look down at my desk, I see piles and piles of paper and folders that need my attention, and that I feel anxiety. Yeah.
Well, I think it's essentially important to just help you take you out of whatever spiral and thing that was going on, right? Talking about the mind body connection of really getting into that place of relaxation of being present. So this is another helpful exercise that's very simple and easy for people to try out.
So I know you're on limited time. We talked about the toolbox. Is there anything we left out of the toolbox? I'm sure we did.
There's a lot more tools and resources that I share in my book. It's called So Much Better. So definitely check it out. It's a self-help book based in mindfulness. And
We're
it's
also included in the show notes.
Thank you. So yeah, it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and it really provides a lot of different strategies. I break it down into the three key pillars of calm, confidence, and curiosity. And it's really important to understand like calm is about regulating your nervous system, right? We talked a lot about that earlier, having
Which
different
will regulate your cortisol level, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because cortisol is essentially the stress hormone. And
Yeah.
so I think an important thing to note with stress, though, is that stress in and of itself is not a bad thing. Okay. Because it does help. It's important to be able to activate that stress response when we need it, right? Like if we're out in the wild and a bear comes, like we want to be able to have, notice that stress and to activate our fight or flight response so that we can run and flee and, and survive. But the problem is when the stress is chronic and then we can't turn it off. And that's when it really leads to that ongoing inflammation and cycle that triggers, chronic disease and all those pathways, that hormone imbalances, things like
Like the
that.
number one cause for a heart attack, I think, is stress, isn't it?
What was that?
One of the number one causes for heart attacks is stress.
I mean, it's definitely way up there for sure. I think, we're seeing a lot more research and data coming out about how inflammation contributes to the buildup of plaque in, the heart walls and all of that,
Yeah.
is very much part of this whole process of
And it's
heart
inflammation.
disease. Yeah, yeah. So calm is about, regulating the nervous system, right? Confidence is about working with your mind, about developing that strong sense of self-belief in yourself. And part of that is really rewiring your brain, right? Because I'm sure, as with entrepreneurship and business, there's a lot that you have to be open to growth and to doing things differently, right? Because what worked in the past may not work for you now or in the future. And if you keep doing the same things, you're not going to necessarily get better results. And so it's really important to have those tools and techniques to rework that, to rewire your brain so that you're set up for success.
And everything that Dr. Cindy is talking about right now is something that we should be teaching our children,
Totally.
especially when it comes to calmness and confidence. I'm sorry, calmness and confidence, not confidentiality, and curiosity. They already have. So let's get into curiosity real quick.
Yeah, curiosity is really about bringing in the fun, the joy, and connecting to your inner wisdom and purpose. And I think a
Your
lot of
happy self. What makes you happy? Your happy self.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times as we continue to go through life, right, as we grow older, we lose that connection. We're focused on the doing, the work, the serious stuff, and we forget that play. And so it's really important to continue to cultivate that joy, that wonder, right? And staying connected to who you really are and that sense of deep fulfillment and purpose, right? So that you can continue to shine your light and to do what you're meant to do here.
Yeah, agree. All right, so before you go, a couple of things. We got to talk really quickly because I know this is important. Mind body connection. Now, we already talked about, the mind and body connection. Mind and body are not separate. I want to talk about what is it that you have trademarked? Your stories, your success stories, the success method.
The inspiring success story formula is
Yes, that's what I wanted to get into.
so those are the three key pillars of it's comprised of the three key pillars of calm, confidence, and curiosity.
Yeah,
And
and
so
method is and you have that trademark, so that's great.
yeah, so I break that down in my book and I shared a little bit about it. But a lot of it basically comes down to awareness, right? You have to know where you are, right? And to be open to changing things, right? And to knowing that this is a process and that it looks a little bit different for everyone. giving yourself permission to do that, right? To do it your way.
Yeah, 1000%. All right, great. Any final tips, any words of wisdom, golden nuggets you can leave? I know you've already dropped so many.
I think it's so important to take the moment each and every day to pause and check in with yourself.
Mhm.
I think that you do have the wisdom, the answers within, but when there's so much going on, we live in a very busy and noisy world right now. We can't hear that. And so having ways to really ground yourself, not just through breathing or whatever. A lot of people, exercise is a great way, right? When they're out on a run or whatever. But just knowing that everyone is different and you find your own way and your tools that work for you so that you can stay connected to who you are and who you're meant to be.
I think that's so important because, I always say when you're in your fog, it's foggy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And one thing that us entrepreneurs don't do, and I'm sure stay at home moms, because they got children running around like crazy, and, you know, one thing that a lot of us don't do is just really, really, really take that time to, whether it's meditation or not. I've tried to meditate. I'm not calm enough to meditate. I've tried it so many times, but just get in that quiet space and just try to clear your mind. Focus on, try to focus on one thing, one problem that you're having, to really come up with those solutions, because it's in the quiet where you really find the answers, where you really find the solutions, where you can really thrive. I mean, we get so busy, and entrepreneurs, I call them firefighters, because
Yeah.
we're putting out fires more than we're really creating and building a sustainable, scalable, sellable business. So it is really important to do these different breathing exercises. All the tips that you gave today, the breathing, the grounding, you know, um, make sure the calm, confidence, curiosity, get in touch with your inner self and really spend that time. And I appreciate you so much coming on the show. How can our listeners find you?
I'm available on social media with my handle at Cindy Tsai MD. So please follow, connect with me. I share content regularly. And my website is cindysaimd.com. I have a bunch of free resources on there, including a free guide to create your own calm. I have a course on Self Care 101 and also some guided meditations for those who are interested and curious to try. So, yeah.
And when you go to Cindy Tsai as TSAI, that will be in the show notes. So don't
Thank
just go to SAI to Tsai. And so, I had one more question for you. Do you still treat or see patients with chronic illness from not just preventive, but integrated approach?
So currently, I'm focused on my coaching and speaking practice, and but integrative medicine is still very important to me, and so I think there's definitely some thoughts on how to really blend all of it together to really bring that integrative wellness to people. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I always seek out is integrated physicians.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, you've been a tremendous wealth of wisdom and guidance, and I hope all entrepreneurs and the Exit Rich listeners take this to heart and take care of your heart, take care of your mind, take care of your body, and really, seek that quiet time and really become calm, confident, and curious. And so I thank all my listeners. Thank everybody for tuning in to Exit Rich. Thank you for your patience. And can't wait to see you next Tuesday, next Wednesday, next Wednesday. See, we moved it. It used to be every Tuesday, next Wednesday at 12 o'clock for another special guest. But thank you so much, Dr. Cindy Tsai. You've been an amazing guest.
thank you.